Don't open that door.
Step away from my door. What exactly did you change?
Nothing. I wouldn't open that.
Why? Then why are you here?
Have transportation inspected before you drive.
I owe you an apology.
For which part?
Don't open that door. Marcus Bennett's voice was calm, but it stopped Claire Hawthorne 3 steps from her private office. At 11:47 on a rain-heavy Thursday night, the 42nd floor of Hawthorne Tower should have been empty. Instead, Claire found a 6'2" black maintenance technician standing outside a door only 3 people in the building were authorized to access. Marcus was 30, broad-shouldered, dressed in a faded navy work shirt, one hand holding a screwdriver while the other rested beside an open electrical panel. Claire's fingers tightened around her phone. "Step away from my door." Marcus looked at her, then deliberately set the screwdriver on the carpet. "Yes, ma'am." He stepped back, not toward her, away. Claire noticed that. She also noticed the grease on his hands, the old work boots, and the employee badge clipped to his belt. Marcus Bennett, Building Systems. People like Marcus kept Hawthorne Tower running after people like Claire stopped noticing how it ran. She was 28 and already worth more money than most families would see in generations. 42 floors below, her name was carved into marble. Up here, Marcus's name existed on a plastic badge worth $12. The elevator opened behind her. Ethan Cole, Claire's security chief, emerged with 2 guards. "Mr. Bennett," Ethan said. "Hands where we can see them." Marcus slowly raised them. No argument. No offended performance. Just compliance. Claire hated how relieved that made her feel. "Why are you here?" she asked. Cooling alarm came through at 11:31. "I traced it upstairs." "You don't have clearance upstairs." "I know." "Then how did you get here?" Marcus glanced toward the office door. "Service stairwell." Ethan's expression hardened. "That stairwell requires executive access after 10. Marcus nodded once. Then somebody changed something. Silence settled over the hallway. Rain tapped softly against 40 feet of glass. Claire studied him. Large frame. Quiet voice. No visible fear. Somehow that made him harder to read. "What exactly did you change?" she asked. Marcus met her eyes. "Nothing." Ethan moved toward the door. Marcus's voice sharpened for the first time. "Sir, I wouldn't." Everyone stopped. Claire felt something cold move beneath her ribs. "Why?" Marcus pointed toward the electronic lock without approaching it. "Because your access panel is showing a manual override, and whoever did it wasn't standing out here." Ethan examined the panel. Claire watched Marcus instead. He wasn't watching the lock. He was watching the hallway, the ceiling cameras, the elevator indicator. Like a man noticing exits. Like a man expecting something. Or someone. "Search him," Claire said. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he remained still while security checked his tool belt. Pliers. Voltage meter. Flashlight. Electrical tape. A child's red hair tie looped around his key ring. Then Ethan held up Marcus's access card. "This credential was used on this floor 11 minutes ago." Claire turned toward Marcus. "You said you came through the stairs." "I did." "Then explain that." Marcus looked at the card, and for the first time something changed in his face. Not panic. Confusion. "I can't." Claire had spent years learning that uncertainty was dangerous. Markets punished it. Boards exploited it. Men lied inside it. She looked at Ethan. Pull every camera. Run his employment history. Everything. Marcus understood immediately. She wasn't asking who he was. She had already decided what he might be. Still, he didn't raise his voice. "Miss Hawthorne, you can investigate whatever you need to." He glanced toward her office. "But don't go inside until someone checks that lock." Claire almost laughed at the contradiction. The man being treated as a threat was still warning her about danger. Ethan opened the wall panel and went silent. "Claire." He rarely used her first name at work. The lock was bypassed from the inside. The hallway suddenly felt colder. Claire looked toward Marcus, but he wasn't looking at her anymore. His eyes had settled on the security camera above her office. Its small green light blinked once, went dark for 2 seconds, then returned. Marcus stared at it. How long has that camera been doing that? Ethan looked up. Doing what? Marcus said nothing for a moment. Then he picked up neither his tools nor his badge. You might want to check who was watching this floor before I got here. Claire felt her certainty shift by half an inch. Not enough for trust. Not even close. But enough for a question she would spend the next several weeks trying to answer. Was Marcus Bennett the danger inside her building, or was he the first person who had noticed it? By 6 the next morning, Claire Hawthorne had learned more about Marcus Bennett than Marcus had ever volunteered to anyone in her building. Ethan placed a thin folder on her desk beside a cup of coffee she had forgotten to drink. 30 years old. Building systems technician. 3 previous maintenance contracts. No criminal record. No complaints. Single father. Claire opened the folder. And the missing 18 months. Ethan leaned against the edge of her desk. Nothing. No employer. No payroll trail we can find yet. Claire looked through the glass wall toward the waking city. In her world, missing information was rarely innocent. Keep looking. 38 floors below, Marcus was replacing a ventilation sensor while 2 executives passed behind him. One lowered his voice, but not enough. That is the guy from last night. The other glanced at Marcus and quickened his pace. Marcus kept working. He had learned long ago that dignity was sometimes nothing more glamorous than finishing the job while somebody else misunderstood you. At 7:15, his shift ended. He drove 9 miles south in an aging Ford with a heater that worked only when it felt generous. Lily Bennett was waiting at their kitchen table, 7 years old, hair half-braided, cereal going soft in a chipped blue bowl. Daddy, you are late. I know, bug. He kissed the top of her head and reached for her backpack. One strap had torn again. Marcus found a sewing kit in the junk drawer and began repairing it. Lily noticed the dark mark around his wrist. What happened? Marcus paused. Some people at work got nervous. Because of you? Around me. She considered the difference. Were you nervous? Marcus smiled faintly. A little. Lily pushed her cereal toward him as if breakfast could solve adult problems. You can have some. That might be the best offer. I get all day. By 8:30, Claire was watching security footage from the lobby. Marcus had returned because Lily's school bus pickup was near the tower. She saw him kneel beside his daughter, tighten one shoelace, place a carton of milk into her backpack, then straighten the red hair tie around her ponytail. The same red hair tie Claire had seen looped around his keys. Something in the image resisted the story forming inside her head. Ethan entered. You are watching him. I am reviewing footage. Of him being a father? Claire closed the window. Of a man whose access credential opened my private floor. Ethan placed another report down. Marcus earned in a year what Claire sometimes spent on a single corporate dinner. He rented a modest apartment, drove an old vehicle, paid medical debt in small monthly installments. The numbers created a familiar picture of vulnerability, but Claire disliked how easily money could make vulnerability look like motive. Any explanation for the camera failure? She asked. Technical glitch. Marcus noticed it before your team did. Ethan's expression tightened. That does not make him innocent. It does not make him guilty either. The word surprised her. That afternoon, Marcus crossed the executive lobby carrying a toolbox. Claire stepped from the elevator. Their eyes met. Employees moved around them in expensive suits, polished shoes, quiet conversations. Marcus stopped at a respectful distance. Ms. Hawthorne. Mr. Bennett. She almost asked about Lily. Instead, she said, your access has been restricted until further notice. A small silence. Understood. You are not being suspended. Understood. No pleading. No anger. That bothered Claire more than defensiveness would have. Does none of this offend you? Marcus considered her question. Would being offended change what you believe? Claire had no answer ready. Marcus nodded politely and continued toward the service corridor. Her phone vibrated before he reached the door. Unknown sender. One image. Claire standing beside her bedroom window the previous evening, photographed from outside the building. Her stomach tightened. A second message appeared beneath it. For words. I can still reach you. Claire looked up sharply. Marcus was 20 feet away, walking in the opposite direction, both hands occupied with his toolbox. Ethan appeared beside her. What happened? Claire showed him the screen. His face hardened. Across the lobby, Marcus stopped without turning. He had noticed the sudden silence behind him. Claire stared at his broad back and felt two ideas collide inside her at once. Someone wanted her frightened, and someone wanted Marcus close enough to blame. Claire did not sleep that night. By morning, the photograph had been examined 3 times, the sender traced nowhere useful, and Ethan had doubled security around her without being asked. Yet one detail kept bothering her. Marcus had been walking away when the message arrived. If he was involved, he was either remarkably careless or remarkably good. Claire trusted neither possibility, so she created a third one. At 10:15, Marcus received a temporary work order for the executive conference floor. His restricted access had been restored for exactly 90 minutes. "That is generous," Marcus said when his supervisor handed him the badge. The older man lowered his voice. "It is not generosity. They have cameras following you like you stole the building." Marcus slipped the badge onto his belt. "Then I guess I should give them something boring to watch." Upstairs, Claire sat behind tinted glass with Ethan while Marcus entered conference room 12 carrying his toolbox. On the polished walnut table sat a phone, a leather wallet, and a confidential merger folder stamped private. None belonged there by accident. Claire watched Marcus notice all 3. He stopped, looked toward the ceiling camera, then sighed softly. "You know he sees the test," Ethan said. "Good," Claire replied. Marcus crossed to the ventilation panel without touching the table. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. He removed a damaged sensor, cleaned the housing, installed a replacement, and wrote the serial number on his work order. The folder remained unopened. The wallet remained untouched. The phone began ringing. Marcus ignored it twice. On the 3rd call, he picked up the desk phone instead and dialed security. "There are personal items in conference room 12. Somebody should collect them before the next meeting." Claire folded her arms. Ethan said nothing. Marcus finished his repair and headed for the door, then stopped beneath the hallway camera. He looked up for several seconds. "What is he doing?" Claire asked. Marcus stepped back into the conference room and called security again. "Camera 14 is pointed wrong." Ethan leaned toward the monitor. "It looks fine." "It is not," Marcus said over the recorded line. "That lens used to catch both elevator doors. Now it loses about 6 feet along the west wall." Claire glanced at Ethan. "Did your team adjust it?" "No," Marcus continued. "Could be vibration from the ventilation work. Could be nothing. But after what happened upstairs, I figured nothing should stay nothing until somebody checks." Claire felt that sentence settle uncomfortably. The man she was testing had just identified a weakness in the system testing him. An hour later, Marcus returned to the service level. 2 junior executives stepped into the elevator with him, recognized his badge, then stepped back out before the doors closed. Marcus saw their reflection in the steel. He said nothing. When the elevator reached the lobby, Lily was waiting near reception with Mrs. Alvarez from the neighboring apartment. School had dismissed early because of a water problem. Lily ran toward him. "Daddy." Marcus caught her with one arm, his expression changing instantly. Claire happened to be crossing the mezzanine above. She watched him kneel and listened seriously while Lily explained that her class hamster had escaped again. For 30 seconds, Marcus Bennett was not a suspect, an employee, or a large black man being watched by Billionaire security. He was simply a father pretending a missing hamster was the most important crisis in Chicago. Claire almost smiled. Then Ethan appeared beside her. Camera 14 just went offline. The softness vanished from her face. "Where is Marcus?" Ethan pointed below. Marcus was still beside Lily, helping her zip her coat. Then he could not have touched it. Ethan looked at Claire. Unless he arranged it earlier. Claire hated that the explanation still fit. She hated even more that she had started hoping it would not. Downstairs, Marcus looked toward camera 14. Its green indicator was dark. He handed Lily's backpack to Mrs. Alvarez and walked to reception. "Do not reset that camera," he told the guard. "Why?" Marcus studied the blank lens. "Because if somebody moved it on purpose, resetting it tells them we noticed." Upstairs, Claire heard every word through the security feed. Ethan turned toward her. "He knows too much about how we operate." Claire kept watching Marcus. "Or somebody else is counting on us believing exactly that." Then camera 14 flickered back to life by itself. The next morning, Claire moved Marcus Bennett closer instead of farther away. It was not trust. She told herself that twice before signing the work order. A temperature control failure had appeared inside her private office suite, and Marcus was the technician assigned to inspect it. Ethan objected immediately. There are 12 people downstairs who can handle that. Claire closed the file on her desk. None of them noticed camera 14. At 9:20, Marcus entered carrying his toolbox. Claire stood near the windows, 30 feet above a city that looked orderly from this height. Marcus stopped several feet inside the room. "Morning, Miss Hawthorne. The thermostat keeps dropping." "I will check it." She watched him work. He watched the equipment. That distinction bothered her because she had deliberately left her purse open on the side table, her phone beside it, a confidential document visible beneath a folder. Marcus never looked. Claire moved behind him. His shoulders stiffened almost imperceptibly. Then he shifted to the side, positioning himself where she could see both his hands. Claire noticed. "Why did you move?" Marcus glanced toward her. "So you would not have to wonder what I was doing." The answer landed more heavily than she expected. "Do you think I am afraid of you?" He returned to the control panel. "I think you are trying very hard not to be." Claire said nothing. Marcus removed the damaged thermostat cover. The silence between them was not comfortable, but it was strangely clean. No performance. No flattery. No attempt to convince her he was harmless. Her phone rang. "Ethan." Claire answered. "We found another access anomaly. Garage level 3. Bennett's credential was logged there at 2:13 this morning." Claire looked at Marcus. He was tightening a wire connection. "Were you here at 2:13? She asked. Marcus stopped. "No, ma'am." "Where were you?" His expression cooled. "Home." "Can anyone confirm that?" A beat passed. "My 7-year-old daughter, but I would rather not make her part of this." Claire felt the rebuke without hearing one. Ethan continued through the phone. "There is more. Someone accessed the executive vehicle bay within 4 minutes of his credential." Marcus had heard enough to understand. He closed the thermostat panel carefully. "You think I went near your car?" Claire lowered the phone. "I am asking." "No. You are collecting answers until one sounds like the answer you already have." His voice remained quiet. That made it worse. Claire looked at his work shirt, his worn boots, the small scar across one knuckle, then at her own office where a single chair cost more than his monthly rent. She could investigate every hour of his life. He could barely question why. The imbalance suddenly became visible, and Claire did not like what it revealed about her. Marcus lifted his toolbox. Temperature should stabilize within 15 minutes. He started toward the door, then paused. "One thing." Claire waited. "If somebody can copy my access credential, restricting me will not solve your problem." "What would?" "Finding out why they want you looking at me." He left before she could respond. 20 minutes later, Claire entered the underground garage with Ethan. Her black sport utility vehicle waited beneath the fluorescent lights. Nothing appeared disturbed. Ethan walked around it. "We will replace the access system tonight." Claire stared at the security camera above the vehicle bay. Its angle was correct. Its green light steady. Too steady. Then she remembered Marcus watching the cameras before he watched people. "Pull the footage from 2 o'clock. Ethan hesitated. "Already did." "And?" "There is a 7-minute gap." Claire's stomach tightened. That evening, she passed through the lobby and saw Marcus outside through the glass, holding an umbrella over Lily while rain soaked one shoulder of his jacket. Lily was laughing about something. Marcus bent down to hear her better. Claire stopped without meaning to. Behind her, 2 executives whispered, "Security is still investigating that maintenance guy." Marcus could not hear them. Claire could. For the first time, she wondered what it cost a man to remain gentle while strangers quietly built a case against him. Her phone vibrated. Ethan's name appeared. "Claire, do not use your vehicle tomorrow morning." She turned away from the window. "Why?" A pause. "We found something in the garage logs that should not be there." Outside, Marcus opened the passenger door for Lily, waited until she was safely inside, then looked back at Hawthorne Tower. His eyes rose toward the garage levels. The smile disappeared from his face. By 7:30 the next morning, Marcus was already in garage level 3 when Claire stepped from the elevator with Ethan beside her. The concrete space smelled of cold air, rubber, and fresh coffee drifting from the security desk. Claire had been told not to use her vehicle, but nobody had explained why. Marcus was crouched several feet from the black sport utility vehicle, studying the floor beneath it without touching anything. Ethan stopped. "Who authorized you to be here?" Marcus stood slowly. "Nobody." Claire's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you here?" Marcus pointed toward a faint stain beneath the front of the vehicle. "Because I saw that when I came in." Ethan moved closer. Could be condensation. Wrong place for condensation. Marcus kept his hands visible. Have transportation inspect it before she drives. Ethan looked at Claire. We already have a security concern involving his credential in this garage. Marcus gave a tired nod. I know. Claire studied him. And you still came down here. Your car does not care whether you trust me. The sentence hung in the fluorescent quiet. A transportation technician arrived 10 minutes later. Marcus stepped away while the man examined the vehicle. Claire watched from beside a concrete pillar, arms folded tightly. Finally, the technician stood. There is a problem with the brake system. The fluid level is dangerously low, and one connection appears to have been deliberately loosened. Nobody spoke. Claire looked at Marcus. He did not look pleased to be right. He looked concerned. That unsettled her more. Ethan immediately asked, could someone with mechanical experience do this without leaving obvious damage? Yes, the technician said. Ethan turned toward Marcus. And Bennett worked 18 months for a company that serviced this model. Claire felt the room shift again. Evidence had become a strange kind of mirror. Every fact that made Marcus capable of protecting her could also be turned into proof that he was capable of harming her. Marcus understood it too. There it is, he said quietly. Claire frowned. What? The part where knowing how something works becomes suspicious because I am the one who knows it. Ethan stepped forward. Watch your tone. Marcus looked at him, then at Claire. My tone is fine. That was the uncomfortable part. No anger. No pleading. Just a man standing beside a billionaire's vehicle while people with more authority than him decided what his knowledge meant. Claire remembered the executives leaving the elevator rather than ride with him. She remembered Lily under the umbrella. She remembered the red hair tie around his keys. Did you touch this vehicle last night? Claire asked. No. Could you have loosened that connection? Marcus paused. Could I? Yes. Ethan's eyebrows rose. Claire stared at him. Marcus continued. But capability is not guilt. Claire had spent her career surrounded by people who answered questions strategically. Marcus answered them plainly, even when plain truth made him look worse. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. Excuse me. It is my daughter's school. He stepped several feet away. His voice changed immediately. Softer. Hey, Miss Carter. Is Lily okay? Claire watched his shoulders relax when he heard the answer. A forgotten lunchbox. Nothing more. Marcus promised to bring it before noon. When he returned, Ethan was holding a tablet. I found something. Security footage from the previous evening showed Marcus entering the service elevator at 6:48. The garage access event happened at 7:12. Another camera showed Marcus outside Hawthorne Tower at 7:14, opening the passenger door of his Ford for Lily. Claire leaned closer. He could not have been in both places. Ethan's jaw tightened. Credentials can be handed to someone else. Marcus looked at him. Mine was clipped to my belt. Prove it. Marcus almost smiled, but there was no humor in it. That seems to be the theme around here. Claire looked at Ethan. Enough. The word surprised all three of them. Marcus picked up his toolbox. If the vehicle is being targeted, check every car assigned to her schedule, not just this one. Ethan said, we know how to protect Ms. Hawthorne. Marcus stopped. Then why did somebody know which car she was taking? Silence. Claire felt something colder than fear now. Logic. Someone had known her schedule. Someone had copied Marcus's access credential. Someone had manipulated cameras. And every trail kept pointing toward the easiest man in the building to suspect. Marcus walked toward the elevator. Before the doors closed, Claire called his name. He looked back. Thank you for noticing the leak. Marcus gave one small nod. You are welcome. The doors closed. Ethan stared at Claire. You are starting to trust him. Claire looked at the empty space where Marcus had stood. No. Her voice was quieter than before. I am starting to question why somebody needs me not to. The red umbrella appeared in Claire's office just after 3 o'clock the next afternoon. She noticed it through the glass wall first, moving across the executive lobby beneath the arm of a 7-year-old girl who looked deeply unimpressed by everything expensive around her. Lily Bennett sat beside Mrs. Alvarez near reception, her backpack between her shoes. A plumbing problem had closed her school early, and Marcus was still finishing an emergency repair 2 floors below. Claire could have returned to her quarterly reports. Instead, she watched Lily take out a sketchbook and begin drawing. 10 minutes later, Claire stepped into the lobby. Lily looked up immediately. You are Miss Hawthorne. Claire stopped. And you are Lily. My dad said your building has 42 floors. It does. Lily studied her with the blunt seriousness children reserve for adults they had not decided to trust. Are you the lady who thinks my dad did something bad? Claire felt the receptionist suddenly become fascinated by her computer. That is complicated. Lily nodded. Adults say that when the real answer is yes. Claire almost smiled. Almost. A handful of colored pencils rolled from Lily's lap. Claire bent to help gather them. One had disappeared beneath a leather chair. She reached for it at the same moment Marcus entered from the service corridor. He stopped when he saw Claire beside his daughter. Not alarmed. Alert. There was a difference. Lily. His voice was gentle. Everything okay? She found my green pencil. Marcus looked at Claire. Thank you. Nothing in his tone suggested she owed him more. Claire stood and handed Lily the pencil. Your daughter asks direct questions. Unfortunately, she gets that from me. Lily frowned. Daddy, that sounded like an insult. Marcus's mouth softened. It was not. Claire noticed two executives passing behind him. One glanced at Marcus, then whispered something to the other. Marcus heard it. His face did not change. Lily did. Why do people keep looking at you? Marcus crouched beside her. People look at things they do not understand. Then why do they not ask? For once, Marcus had no immediate answer. Claire did. Sometimes asking means admitting you might be wrong. Marcus looked up at her. A small silence passed between them. Lily returned to her drawing. It showed 3 figures beneath a red umbrella beside a crooked building. Claire pointed to it. Who is that? Me and Daddy. There are 3 people. Lily shrugged. I have not decided who she is yet. Marcus gently closed the sketchbook. All right, Bug. Mrs. Alvarez is taking you home. I will be there by 6. Lily hugged him, then turned unexpectedly toward Claire. My dad fixes things. He does not break them. Claire felt the words land somewhere no investigation report could reach. After Lily left, Marcus picked up his toolbox. Claire said, she knows. Children know when adults start whispering. I did not tell anyone to whisper. You did not have to. There was no accusation in his voice, which somehow made the truth sharper. Claire looked around the polished lobby, at employees with 6-figure salaries who could decide Marcus was dangerous without ever learning his daughter's name. I am trying to be careful. Marcus nodded. You should be. You really believe that? Being careful is not the problem. He met her eyes. Deciding who deserves your fear before you have the facts is. Claire's phone vibrated. Unknown number. Her chest tightened before she even looked. The message contained no photograph this time. Just 6 words. Ask Marcus where he was last night. Claire went still. Marcus noticed. Another message? She hesitated, then showed him. His expression changed. Not fear. Weariness. Last night I was home. Can anyone verify that besides Lily? Marcus looked away for the first time. That depends how far into my life you plan to dig. Ethan appeared from the elevator carrying a folder. Claire, we found the employment gap. Marcus turned toward him. The warmth that had existed around Lily disappeared. Ethan opened the folder. 18 months. No payroll. No employer. Almost no public record. Claire looked at Marcus. Where were you? He gripped the handle of his toolbox. For several seconds, the lobby seemed to hold its breath. Taking care of my wife, he said quietly. Claire blinked. Marcus continued. She was dying. Lily was 3. I stopped working because somebody had to be there. Ethan lowered the folder slightly. Marcus looked at Claire, and for the first time she saw something beneath his patience that was not anger. It was hurt. Is that enough background for today? He walked toward the service elevator. Claire did not stop him. Her phone remained in her hand, the anonymous message glowing against the screen. Someone had wanted her to ask that question. Someone had known exactly where Marcus's past would hurt most. And suddenly Claire was no longer wondering what Marcus Bennett was hiding. She was wondering who had been studying both of them closely enough to turn grief into evidence. Marcus did not return to the executive floors for the rest of the day. Claire noticed because she kept expecting to see him. At 6:40, Hawthorne Tower had emptied into the gray Chicago evening, leaving only cleaning crews, security staff, and the low mechanical hum of a building that never truly slept. Claire sat alone with Marcus's file open on her desk. Hospital invoices. Unpaid leave requests. A lease renewal signed during the same month his wife entered hospice care. The 18 missing months were not mysterious anymore. They were simply private. Claire closed the folder. For the first time, She understood that having the power to discover something did not mean she had earned the right to know it. She found Marcus on the 31st floor replacing a damaged air sensor. He saw her reflection in the window before she spoke. "Mr. Bennett." "Ms. Hawthorne." His voice was professional again, distant. Claire stopped several feet away. "I owe you an apology." Marcus continued tightening a connection. "For which part?" The question was quiet enough to sting. "For asking about your wife in front of people who had no business hearing the answer." Marcus lowered his screwdriver. "Her name was Renee." Claire said nothing. "She was 31 when she got sick." Lily remembers her laugh better than her face. His eyes remained on the open panel. "I took 18 months off because I thought time was something I could spend carefully enough to keep." Claire felt her throat tighten. "I am sorry." Marcus nodded once. "Thank you." She waited for forgiveness. It did not come. That surprised her. Most people around Claire rushed to make her comfortable the moment she admitted fault. Marcus did not punish her, but he did not rescue her from discomfort either. "I was trying to understand you," she said. He finally looked at her. "No, ma'am. You were trying to confirm what you already believed." The building seemed unusually quiet. Claire glanced toward his worn toolbox, then toward the skyline beyond the glass. "And what? Do you think I believe?" "That a man like me standing where he was not expected had to be there for the wrong reason." Claire could have defended herself. She had evidence. Strange access logs. Missing footage. Anonymous messages. A compromised vehicle. But the facts did not erase the pattern. Marcus had been questioned first and listened to second. "You think this is about money?" she asked. "Not only money." He closed the panel. "You have people whose job is to believe you. I have a daughter whose job should never be defending me." Claire remembered Lily saying, "My dad fixes things. He does not break them." Something shifted inside her. Not guilt alone. Respect, uncomfortable because it required no permission. Her phone vibrated. This time the message came from Ethan. "Security review complete. Bennett remains primary person of interest." Claire stared at it. Marcus noticed her expression but did not ask. "Another problem?" "Maybe." She looked at him. "Marcus, did anyone besides security know your access card had been restricted?" He thought for a moment. "My supervisor. Human resources. Whoever controls the credential server. Ethan's department. I suppose." Claire's eyes narrowed. "And camera 14? Security controls that too." Marcus picked up his toolbox. "Be careful with that thought." "Why?" "Because suspicion feels smart right up until it becomes another shortcut." Claire almost smiled. Even now, he was warning her not to do to Ethan what she had done to him. "You are defending the man investigating you." "No, I am defending the difference between a question and an answer." Before we continue, take a quick second to subscribe to Hidden Father Stories if you haven't already. If you love powerful family dramas, surprising stories, real-life inspired journeys, and stories with meaningful life lessons, you're in the right place. Your support helps us create a brand new cinematic story every single day. Marcus headed toward the elevator. Claire remained beside the window. Below, headlights moved through the city like slow rivers of white and red. She opened Marcus's access records on her tablet and stopped looking at where his credential had appeared. Instead, she looked at what happened immediately before and after each appearance. 11:47. Camera interruption. 7:12. Missing garage footage. 2:13. Credential duplication. 3 separate incidents. 3 gaps controlled by the same security network. Claire's pulse quickened. She called Ethan. "Send me the raw access logs." A pause. "Why?" "Because I want to review them myself." Another pause, slightly longer. "Claire, that is not necessary." She stared at the screen. For weeks, Ethan had encouraged every question about Marcus. Now one question about the system made him hesitate. Claire's voice became still. "Send them." When the files arrived, she compared the timestamps. Then she saw it. Marcus's credential had been used on the 42nd floor at 11:36 that first night. At 11:34, Marcus's employee badge had opened a supply room 27 floors below, 2 minutes apart. Too far for one man to travel. Claire leaned back slowly. The evidence had never proved Marcus was everywhere. It proved his identity was. And somewhere inside Hawthorne Tower, someone had been counting on her never noticing the difference. Claire did not call Ethan again that night. Instead, she printed the access logs, turned off the lights in her office, and studied them beneath the small brass lamp on her desk. 11:34. Marcus on the 15th floor. 11:36, his credential on the 42nd. 7:12, his credential in the garage. 7:14, Marcus outside with Lily. The pattern was no longer subtle. Someone was borrowing his identity without ever needing the man himself. At 6:20 the next morning, Claire found Marcus in the basement mechanical room inspecting a bank of emergency controls. He looked surprised to see her there. Billionaires rarely visited rooms without windows. "I need your opinion," she said. Marcus glanced at the two security cameras overhead. "That is new." Claire accepted the remark. "Someone cloned your credential." His hand stopped. "You are sure?" "Sure enough to stop pretending the impossible is evidence." Marcus studied her face, then returned to the control panel. "What do you need?" Claire handed him a printed list of access events. He read it slowly. "These are not random." "Why?" "Look at the locations. Executive floor, garage, security corridor. Whoever did this wants my badge near places connected to you." Claire lowered her voice. "Do you think I am in danger?" Marcus looked at her. "Yes." The answer came too quickly. "From you." A long silence followed. Marcus folded the paper once and handed it back. "If you still have to ask me that, nothing I say will help." He turned toward the emergency panel. Claire felt the old instinct rise inside her, the need to defend the question, justify the caution, remind him that people with her name had reasons to be careful. Instead, she stayed quiet. Marcus opened the cabinet and frowned. "This is wrong." Claire stepped closer, stopping before entering his working space. "What is?" 3 fire doors are showing manual bypass. Could maintenance have done that? Not without logging it. He checked another screen. Floors 34, 36, and 38. Claire's office was on 42. The charity gala scheduled for Friday would occupy 35 through 39. "Can you restore them?" "Yes, but I would rather know who disabled them first." Claire reached for her phone, then stopped before calling Ethan. Marcus noticed. "You usually call security." "Security controls the credential server. That does not make Ethan guilty. You are still giving him more fairness than I gave you." Marcus closed the cabinet. "Fairness is not something you save for people you like." Claire looked down at the access logs. She had spent years believing caution meant assuming the worst before the worst could surprise her. Marcus seemed to practice something harder. Caution without contempt. At 8:30, they rode the service elevator upward. 2 executives entered on 26, saw Marcus, and exchanged the familiar glance. One recognized Claire and immediately straightened. "Ms. Hawthorne." Claire watched the man's eyes move from her tailored coat to Marcus's work uniform. "Mr. Bennett is assisting me," she said. The executive blinked. Marcus said nothing. When the doors opened, Claire stepped aside. "After you, Mr. Bennett." It was a tiny gesture, almost meaningless. Yet Marcus paused before walking out. He had noticed. By noon, the fire doors were restored, but the bypass command had originated from a security administrator account that no longer existed. Claire requested the raw server history directly from information technology. 10 minutes later, Ethan entered her office without knocking. "You are investigating my department now?" "I am investigating what happened." "Marcus put this idea in your head." Claire looked at him carefully. "Marcus told me not to accuse you without evidence." Ethan's expression changed for less than a second. That was enough. Her phone vibrated. A new anonymous message appeared. No photograph. No threat. Just an address. Claire stared at it. She knew the address. Lily's elementary school. Beneath it were 5 words. "Stop looking at the logs." The room seemed to lose its air. Ethan asked, "What is it?" Claire locked her screen before he could see. For the first time, she did not hand the message to her security chief. 20 minutes later, she found Marcus alone beside the freight elevator. "Marcus!" He turned. Something in her face made him put down his toolbox. Claire showed him the message. His calm expression vanished. Not into panic. Into focus. "Lily is at school." "Yes." Marcus took out his phone and called the front office. His voice remained steady as he confirmed she was safe. When he ended the call, Claire whispered, "I am sorry." Marcus looked at the address on her screen, then toward the security camera above them. "Do not be sorry yet." "Why?" He lowered his voice. "Because whoever sent that just stopped trying to make me look dangerous." His eyes met hers. "Now they are trying to make us afraid of the same person." By Thursday morning, Claire had stopped asking who Marcus Bennett might be and started asking who benefited from making him look guilty. The difference changed everything. She kept Lily's school address off the security network, told Marcus to let Mrs. Alvarez handle pickup, and requested a separate information technology audit without Ethan's approval. At 11:10, the first public problem arrived. A financial reporter published leaked documents claiming Hawthorne Urban Systems had concealed safety violations at one of its redevelopment projects. Within 40 minutes, reporters crowded the sidewalk outside Hawthorne Tower. By noon, cameras filled the main entrance. Claire stood in her office watching television captions scroll beneath her own face. "Someone is forcing you into a controlled exit," Marcus said from the doorway. He had come to repair a faulty emergency sensor, but his attention had shifted to the street below. Claire turned. "Explain. Main entrance is blocked. Garage is compromised. Your security team will move you through whatever route they prepared." Ethan entered before Marcus could continue. "Your convoy is ready downstairs." Marcus looked at him. Ethan looked back. Nothing openly hostile passed between them, but Claire felt the room tighten. "Which vehicles?" she asked. "3 sport utility vehicles. Standard rotation." Marcus walked toward the window overlooking the service lane. "There are 4. Ethan frowned. "What? 4 black vehicles?" Claire joined Marcus at the glass. 3 identical Hawthorne security vehicles waited near the garage ramp. A 4th sat half a block away beside a loading zone. Same color. Similar profile. No company markings. "Could be press," Ethan said. Marcus shook his head. "Press parks where cameras can see them." Ethan's patience thinned. "You are a maintenance technician, Bennett." Marcus did not turn. "Yes, sir." The answer was so calm that Claire heard the class difference inside Ethan's sentence more clearly than the insult itself. One man had authority because of his title. The other had attention because years of ordinary work had taught him to notice what powerful people overlooked. Ethan faced Claire. "We leave now." Claire looked at the convoy, then at Marcus. "How did you get here today?" "My Ford." "Where is it?" "Service garage." Ethan stared at her. "Absolutely not." 10 minutes later, Claire sat in the passenger seat of Marcus's 12-year-old Ford. The dashboard had a small crack near the vent. A child's purple jacket lay folded in back beside a booster seat, 2 library books, and a paper bag labeled Lily's Snacks in blue marker. Claire looked around. "This is your secure alternative?" Marcus started the engine. "No, this is my car." Despite herself, she almost laughed. He pulled through the service exit while reporters remained focused on the main entrance. Claire's phone vibrated repeatedly. Board members, attorneys, public relations. "Ethan." She silenced it. Marcus drove without filling the quiet. No questions about the scandal. No attempt to use her vulnerability as permission for intimacy. After several blocks, Claire realized her shoulders had lowered. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere public." "Why public?" Marcus glanced at the mirror. "Because you still do not know me well enough to disappear somewhere private with me." Claire turned toward him. Weeks earlier, she had watched his hands, measured his distance, tested his honesty. Now he was protecting the boundaries she had once used against him. They stopped at a small diner 6 miles west of downtown, busy enough to offer anonymity without isolation. Marcus chose a booth near the front window. Claire sat across from him. A waitress poured coffee and called Marcus honey without recognizing Claire at all. For 5 quiet minutes, nobody needed anything from her. Then Claire's phone buzzed again. "Ethan." She ignored it. Marcus stirred his coffee. "You should probably answer." "I do not want to." "That is different from not needing to." Claire studied him. "Do you always talk like somebody's father?" "Occupational hazard." Her smile appeared before she could stop it. Then Marcus's eyes moved past her shoulder. The smile vanished from his face. A black sport utility vehicle had pulled into the parking lot. Ethan stepped out. Claire went still. "Did you tell him where we were?" Marcus asked. "No." "Did you tell anyone?" "No." Marcus looked at her phone resting on the table. Claire followed his gaze. Neither spoke for several seconds. Ethan had known where to find her without being told. Marcus reached toward the phone, then stopped before touching it. "May I?" Claire looked at his hand. Months of instinct told her to keep control. Something quieter told her. Control had not kept her safe. She slid the phone across the table herself. Marcus did not smile. He simply turned it over and examined the case. "If somebody is tracking you," he said, "we need to find out whether they are following the billionaire, the phone, or both." Claire looked through the window at Ethan approaching the diner. For the first time, the expensive security vehicles outside did not make her feel protected. The Warnford did. Ethan entered the diner without removing his coat. The waitress looked up from the counter, saw his expression, and quietly decided not to offer coffee. Claire remained seated. Marcus did too. That small choice changed the balance in the room. "Claire, we need to leave," Ethan said. "How did you find me?" she asked. "Your phone is registered with the Executive Security Network." "That was not my question." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Your location is monitored for emergencies." Marcus looked down at Claire's phone, still resting untouched between them. "Does she control when that monitoring is active?" Ethan turned toward him. "This is not your concern." Marcus nodded. "Then I will stay out of it." He slid the phone back toward Claire without touching anything else. Claire stared at Ethan. "Is my location monitored constantly?" "It is standard protection. Protection usually involves consent." Ethan lowered his voice. "You hired me to keep you safe." Something in Claire's expression changed. "I hired you to protect my boundaries, not decide I did not need them." Marcus looked toward the window. He gave her the dignity of not watching the moment land. Ethan insisted the media situation was escalating and the board wanted Claire back at Hawthorne Tower. She agreed to return, but not in his convoy. "I am riding with Marcus." Ethan stared at her. "You cannot be serious." Claire stood. "That sentence is exactly why I am." Outside, the afternoon air had turned cold. Marcus opened the Ford's passenger door, then stepped away instead of hovering. Claire paused before getting in. "Why the diner?" she asked. "Why not your apartment?" Marcus looked genuinely surprised. "Because Lily lives there. And my daughter should not meet somebody in the middle of a security crisis just because I decided to help." Claire absorbed that. "You were protecting her from me?" "I was protecting both of you from a situation neither of you chose." She looked at him for a long second before entering the car. During the drive downtown, Claire finally spoke about something she had told almost nobody. 3 years earlier, a man she had trusted had begun appearing wherever she went. Restaurants, conferences, her building lobby. Nothing dramatic enough to make headlines, but enough to teach her that familiarity could become surveillance before anyone noticed. "After that," she said, watching Chicago pass beyond the window, "I stopped believing people when they said they meant no harm." Marcus kept his eyes on traffic. "Makes sense." Claire turned toward him. "That is all. What do you want me to say?" "Most people tell me I cannot live like that forever." Marcus changed lanes carefully. "Most people are not living it for you." The answer loosened something she had kept tight for years. "You do not think I should trust you?" "I think trust somebody asks for is usually worth less than trust they earn." Claire looked at the worn dashboard, Lily's library books in the back, and Marcus's work gloves beside the console. Everything about the car belonged to a life built far below her world of private elevators and guarded doors. Yet she had felt more watched inside her own penthouse than she did here. Marcus slowed at a red light. "You should know something," he said. "I checked the emergency systems again this morning. 3 fire doors were bypassed a second time." Claire's attention sharpened. "After you repaired them?" "Yes." "For Friday's gala floors?" "All 3. The light changed." Marcus drove on. "Somebody is preparing for something." Claire's phone rang. Ethan again. She declined the call. "Then we cancel the gala." "Maybe." Marcus glanced at her. "But if somebody wants you isolated, changing plans without knowing who controls the information could tell them exactly what you know." Claire was silent. The maintenance technician she had spent weeks investigating was now the only person in the conversation who was not telling her what to do. He gave her facts, then space. When they reached Hawthorne Tower, Marcus did not pull into the executive entrance. He stopped beside the public curb. "Why here?" Claire asked. "Cameras. People. Witnesses." She almost laughed at the irony. "You are still making sure I feel safe around you." Marcus looked ahead. "No, ma'am. I am making sure you never have to wonder whether you were." Claire stepped out, then stopped. Across the street, Ethan's security vehicle was already waiting. Marcus followed her gaze. Claire's phone was inside her handbag, powered completely off. Neither of them had told anyone which entrance they would use. Marcus's voice became quiet. "Claire." She looked at him. "Do not go inside yet." For the first time since meeting him, she did not ask why. She simply stayed beside him. Marcus did not move toward the tower. Claire stayed beside him on the sidewalk while afternoon traffic rolled past, horns echoing between the buildings. Across the street, Ethan's vehicle remained parked beneath a row of bare trees. He could have guessed the entrance, Claire said. Marcus watched the reflection in a storefront window rather than staring directly at the vehicle. He could have. You do not believe that. I believe guessing once is luck. Guessing every time is information. Claire folded her arms against the cold. A week earlier, she would have called Ethan and demanded an explanation. Now she understood that whoever controlled her security also controlled what she was allowed to see. The gala is tomorrow night, she said. And those fire doors were bypassed twice. Marcus nodded. Which means we need the original building logs, not the security copies. Where are they? Local maintenance server. 36th floor. Claire looked at Hawthorne Tower. Then we go together. Marcus finally turned toward her. Lily will be here tomorrow. Claire remembered the employee childcare program arranged for gala staff. Can Mrs. Alvarez keep her? She has a medical appointment. His jaw tightened. The threat involving Lily's school had changed something in him. He was still calm, but fatherhood now sat visibly above every other obligation. Then she stays somewhere secure, Claire said. Marcus gave her a measured look. Your definition of secure has been having a difficult week. Claire almost smiled. Fair. They entered through the public lobby with dozens of employees around them. Ethan approached immediately. Where have you been? Claire kept walking. Handling company business. With maintenance. The word came out too quickly. Marcus heard it. So did Claire. She stopped. His name is Marcus Bennett. Ethan's expression remained controlled. I know his name. Then use it. Marcus looked away, uncomfortable with being defended like a symbol. Claire understood. Respect was not theater. She continued toward the elevator. I am reviewing the gala safety systems personally. Ethan stepped closer. That is unnecessary. You have said that several times lately. His face changed slightly. Claire, I have protected your family for 12 years. Then you should understand why I need answers. On the 36th floor, Marcus opened the maintenance server room while Claire waited at the threshold. Rows of equipment hummed beneath white lights. He pulled the local logs and compared them with the records Claire had received from security. Here, he pointed to 2 timestamps. The security copy says the fire doors were bypassed by an inactive administrator account. And the local record? The command came through an active security terminal. Claire's breathing slowed. Which one? Marcus hesitated. Ethan's office. Neither spoke. Claire stared at the screen. 12 years of birthdays, travel schedules, family funerals, private fears. Ethan had been present for all of it. Marcus did not say, I told you so. He did not even say Ethan was guilty. We need more than one log, he said. Claire looked at him. You are still protecting the difference between suspicion and proof. Especially now. A soft alarm sounded from the panel beside them. Marcus turned. That should not be happening. What is it? Structural monitoring alert. Renovation zone, 38th floor. He checked another screen. Then another. His face hardened. 3 sensors just went offline. Claire reached for her phone, remembered it was powered down, and stopped. Marcus used the wall telephone to call building operations. No answer. He tried again. Nothing. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. The server room went dark for 2 seconds before emergency lighting washed the hallway in pale red. Claire's instinct was immediate. She stepped closer to Marcus. She realized it only after she had done it. He noticed too, but said nothing. The building announcement system crackled overhead, then went silent. Marcus opened the door. Far down the corridor, employees were beginning to emerge from offices. We should evacuate this floor, Claire said. Yes. And tomorrow's gala is canceled. Definitely. His phone rang. Lily's school contact. Marcus answered. Hello. His expression softened with relief. Hey, Bug. Lily reminded him about the childcare registration for tomorrow. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Plans changed. You are staying with me. Claire watched him promise his daughter that everything was fine while warning lights glowed around them. When the call ended, she said, Family first. Marcus nodded. Always. A heavy mechanical sound traveled through the ceiling. Not a crash, but something shifting where nothing should have moved. Marcus looked upward. Claire, we need to leave. They stepped into the corridor. At the far end, Ethan emerged from the stairwell. He was not surprised to see them. His eyes went first to the open server room, then to the printed logs in Claire's hand. For one quiet second, nobody spoke. Then Ethan said, You were not supposed to access that server. Claire felt the last piece settle into place. Marcus moved neither in front of her nor toward Ethan. He simply stood beside her. Equal distance. Open hands. Calm voice. Mr. Cole, people need to get downstairs. Ethan ignored him. Claire, give me those records. She looked at the man who had controlled her security for 12 years. Then at the maintenance technician she had spent weeks trying to prove untrustworthy. Somewhere below them, another alarm began to sound. Claire folded the papers once and placed them inside her coat. No. Ethan's expression went still, and Marcus quietly reached for the emergency stairwell door. The emergency stairwell door opened, but Marcus stopped before stepping through it. A thin electronic chirp came from the locking mechanism, followed by a red warning light. Manual override, he said. Claire looked at Ethan. Your department controls these locks. Ethan's face remained unreadable. This building is experiencing a systems failure. Give me the records and let me handle it. No. Claire's voice did not rise. It did not need to. Marcus tested the secondary release. Nothing. Somewhere above them, metal groaned softly as the renovation structure shifted. Dust drifted from a ceiling seam. Marcus looked toward the service corridor. There is another route. Ethan stepped toward Claire. You are making a serious mistake. Marcus did not block him. He simply opened the service door and said, everyone needs to evacuate. Claire followed Marcus. Behind them, Ethan remained in the corridor for several seconds before turning the other way. That choice told Claire more than any accusation could. The service passage was narrow, lit by emergency strips along the floor. Marcus moved carefully, checking every door before opening it. The renovation zone connects to the west stairs, he said. If the monitoring sensors are offline, we stay away from unsupported sections. Claire followed without argument. Minutes earlier, she had been standing beside a man whose salary could disappear inside one of her quarterly expense reports. Now every polished title in Hawthorne Tower meant less than his knowledge of the building. The floor shifted beneath their feet. Not violently, just enough to make Claire freeze. A low rumble traveled through the wall. Marcus stopped immediately. Claire, stay there. Part of the ceiling ahead sagged, blocking the direct passage without striking either of them. Emergency lights flickered. Claire's breath shortened. The corridor suddenly felt smaller. Too small. Marcus looked back. He recognized panic before she said a word. Claire. She tried to answer. Nothing came. Look at me. She did. He remained several feet away. No grabbing. No sudden movement. You are okay right now. Her breathing remained shallow. We cannot get out. Not that way. Marcus. There is another route. The certainty in his voice was not dramatic. It was practical. Grounded. The same voice that had warned her about the locked office, the camera, the vehicle, the fire doors. Claire pressed one hand against the wall. I do not like enclosed spaces. Marcus nodded. Then we do this slowly. He pointed toward a maintenance hatch behind her. That connects to a service corridor. About 40 feet. Then we reach the west stairwell. Claire stared at the dark opening. You first, Marcus asked. She shook her head immediately. He understood. All right. I will go first, but I will keep talking. He opened the hatch and checked the passage. Clear. Another sound echoed from the floor above. Claire flinched. Marcus turned back. Can I take your hand? The question stopped her. Weeks of cameras. Background checks. Security escorts. Open doors. Carefully measured distances. He had never once assumed that protecting her gave him permission to touch her. Claire looked at his outstretched hand. Then she placed hers in it. Do not let go. Marcus closed his fingers gently. I will not. They moved through the service passage one careful step at a time. He told her where the floor changed height, where a pipe crossed overhead, where to duck. No speeches. No promises he could not make. Just information. Presence. At the west stairwell, the door opened manually. Claire exhaled for what felt like the first time in minutes. Then Marcus's phone rang. Mrs. Alvarez. He answered immediately. Lily. His face changed as he listened. She is safe. Claire watched relief move through him. Lily was already home. Tomorrow's childcare registration had never been activated. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Thank you. Keep her with you. When he ended the call, Claire said, Go to her. Marcus looked toward the stairwell below, where employees were moving downward. I will. After you are outside. Marcus, your daughter comes first. She does. He met Claire's eyes. That is why she needs to know I do not leave people behind when I can help them. They descended several floors before a building engineer met them and confirmed that the renovation area had suffered a partial structural failure. Everyone was being evacuated. On the 32nd floor, Claire stopped. The server evidence. Marcus shook his head. Paper is replaceable. It proves what Ethan did. Then we find another way to prove it. Claire stared at him. For weeks, she had treated evidence as more important than people because evidence felt controllable. Marcus had just chosen the opposite without hesitation. A radio crackled nearby. Security personnel were searching for Ethan Cole. He had left the building through a restricted garage exit minutes earlier. Claire looked down the stairwell, then back at Marcus. He left. Marcus nodded. No satisfaction. Then we keep moving. When they finally stepped outside, cold Chicago air rushed across Claire's face. Fire crews and building staff filled the street. Reporters shouted questions from behind barriers. Claire barely heard them. Marcus released her hand only after they reached the designated safe area. She looked down, surprised to realize she had still been holding it. "Thank you," she whispered. Marcus nodded toward the crowd. "You have people waiting for you." Claire looked at the executives, attorneys, security staff, and cameras calling her name. Then she looked back at Marcus. His worn work shirt was dusty. His toolbox was somewhere 36 floors above. His daughter was waiting at home. He wanted nothing from her. And that was when Claire understood something no security report had ever taught her. Safety was not the absence of fear. Sometimes it was simply knowing the person beside you would never use your fear to control you. 3 weeks later, the 42nd floor of Hawthorne Tower was still closed for repairs when Claire stood before the company board and did something nobody in the room expected. She refused to blame Marcus Bennett. The independent investigation had recovered server backups from an off-site archive, confirming that Ethan Cole had manipulated access records, copied employee credentials, interfered with security systems, and helped conceal safety violations tied to a senior executive who feared an upcoming audit. The structural failure had begun in an improperly renovated section after monitoring safeguards were disabled. No dramatic conspiracy was needed anymore. The records were enough. Ethan was taken into custody for questioning, and the authorities continued the investigation. Claire could have hidden behind lawyers. Instead, she faced the employees herself. "Our system made it easier to investigate a maintenance worker than to question the people holding power over him," she said. "That failure belongs to this company. And to me." Marcus watched from the back of the room in his old Navy work shirt. Executives occupied the front rows. Nobody asked him to move forward. He preferred it that way. Afterward, Claire found him beside the service elevator. Human Resources prepared a compensation package. Marcus sighed. Of course they did. There is also a promotion. Senior Facilities Manager. Significant salary increase. Is that because I earned it? Or because everyone feels guilty? Claire paused. 3 weeks earlier, she might have answered too quickly. Your performance reviews say you earned it before I knew your name. Marcus nodded. Then I will consider the job. And the compensation? That is different. Claire looked down. I cannot undo what happened. No. His voice was gentle. But you can change what happens to the next person. She met his eyes. Marcus continued. Make sure a badge does not become a verdict. Make sure somebody earning less money still gets heard before somebody earning more gets believed. Claire gave a small nod. I can do that. Then do that. There was no triumph in him. No satisfaction in watching a billionaire apologize to a maintenance technician. That was what Claire had finally learned about Marcus. His dignity did not require anyone else's humiliation. On Saturday evening, Claire drove herself to his neighborhood. No security convoy. No assistant. She parked outside a modest brick apartment building and carried one thing to the door, Lily's red umbrella, which had been left at Hawthorne Tower during the evacuation. Lily opened the door. Her eyes widened. You found it. Apparently your umbrella has better security than I do. Lily laughed and took it. Marcus appeared from the kitchen wearing an old gray sweater. Miss Hawthorne. Claire raised an eyebrow. Still Miss Hawthorne? You are standing in my hallway. I am adjusting. The apartment smelled like roasted chicken and coffee. Lily's drawings covered one side of the refrigerator. A repaired backpack rested beneath the table. Nothing matched. Nothing needed to. Claire noticed 3 plates. Are you expecting someone? Marcus looked toward Lily. Lily looked suspiciously innocent. She insisted we make extra. Claire smiled. I can leave. You can, Marcus said. Then, after a quiet beat, or you can stay. Claire's phone vibrated inside her coat. She pulled it out. A board member. Then another notification. Then security asking whether she wanted a driver sent over. For years, every vibration had meant somebody needed an answer, a decision, permission, control. She turned the phone face down on the counter. Lily climbed into her chair and looked at Claire. Are you still scared of my dad? Marcus stopped setting the table. Lily, it is okay, Claire said. She looked at Marcus, the man she had once measured by his size, his uniform, his income, his access badge, and every blank space in his history. No, I am not. Lily tilted her head. Why not? Claire thought about the service corridor. The question before the offered hand. The diner chosen because it was public. The way Marcus had defended even Ethan from an accusation before evidence existed. The way he had never demanded trust as payment for kindness. Because your father never needed me to be afraid in order to make me listen. Lily considered this with great seriousness, then pushed a basket of dinner rolls toward Claire. Okay, you can have the good one. Marcus laughed softly. Claire did too. He placed the third plate on the table. No marble walls surrounded them. No cameras blinked overhead. No private security waited beyond the door. Outside, Chicago moved beneath a cold evening sky. Inside, Lily talked about school while Marcus poured coffee, and Claire listened without checking her phone. The differences between their worlds had not magically disappeared. Marcus was still a working father who woke before sunrise. Claire was still a billionaire responsible for thousands of employees. Trust had not erased class, grief, or consequence. It had simply taught them to see one another without letting those things speak first. Claire had once believed safety came from locked doors, perfect records, and knowing everything about everyone. Marcus had shown her something quieter. Sometimes safety was a person who respected the door even when it was open. Sometimes forgiveness was not forgetting what happened, but changing what would happen next. And sometimes faith in people returned without announcement. Over dinner, beneath an ordinary kitchen light, when someone quietly made room at the table.